Hello mixtresses and mixters, this is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress Video. So I wanted to do like a little celebration today, a little best of 2021, and I'm going to show you my favorites from the year. I'm sure a lot of people are doing something like this, like some people do this monthly. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to sit and talk about my year. I am sort of doing a depth year in 2022. It's mostly, it just consists of, I have set a pretty strict, serious budget. Well, it's not super strict because if it was too strict, then I wouldn't be able to follow it. But I've set a budget for myself in 2022, which is the majority of what I'm planning to do for my depth year. And then I have lots of little projects for myself. I want to like read my whole to be read pile, which is like not that much. I mean, I have probably 5 or 10 books on my Kindle that I haven't read, and then I have 10 books, physical books that I haven't read. So it's not super overwhelming, but that's a lot for me because I don't normally buy books that I haven't read. So yeah, I have some goals for next year. Like most of us do, right? But I just wanted to take a moment to sort of celebrate some of the things that I loved in 2021. These are mostly going to be, they aren't like limited to things that were created in 2021. They're just things that I discovered in 2021. So let's see, what are we starting with? Let's start with my favorite book of 2021 is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I had meant to read this book for years. Like this was in my to be read pile at the beginning of this year. I had bought it in 2020, but I hadn't read it yet. And I read it this year and I loved it, which is kind of funny because like I think my favorite book of last year was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And it's kind of not based on this book, but it's the same genre. So yeah, if you're into like haunted house books, but also like this, there's a lot of like connection. There's humor in this book. There's connection between people in this book. It's really good. So this was my favorite book in 2021. My favorite tarot deck in 2021 that I received, that I got in 2021, is Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. I like how, see how it says, Arcana, sweet and sad, with instructions. That's kind of a good description of this deck, actually. Oh, it's in order still. It's just every card, like as Candy said in a recent video, Candy Soil and Soul, it's every single card has a little bit of a twist on it. If it's normally a super positive card, it's a little bit sad. If it's normally a super tragic card, then it's a little bit hopeful. You know, it's just kind of a slight twist on the tarot, and it's rooted enough in the familiar that I can still work well with it, as still kind of, I think of myself as still sort of a baby tarot reader, since I've only been really seriously reading for like 3 years now. But it's just a really gorgeous, really thoughtful, really interesting deck, and like you can spend time with it. And yeah, I love it. It's definitely the one that captivated my heart the most this year, as far as like one that I brought into my collection that is definitely a forever friend. So that's my favorite deck of 2021. I didn't even acquire, like, I acquired like a few Oracle decks this year. I mean, let's go ahead and do this on the spot. My favorite Oracle deck of the year was given to me by the beautiful Meg, Morgan's Tarot. This one has been around since 1970. Yeah, 1970. And it's just So simple, so like funny, but it also, it like goes deep, but it doesn't like demand that you go deep, you know? I love it. I kind of discovered this year that I'm not super into Oracle decks. So, I mean, I did acquire a few Oracle decks this year. This is one of those fucking boxes. I need to get like a bag for this, I think. Normally I like keeping things in the box, but if it's hard to get it back in the box, that's when I don't. Anyway, so that's my favorite Oracle deck of the year. Why did I move it when the rest of them are still out? Let's just go ahead and fill up this space. My favorite album of the year. I don't have a physical copy of it. I just bought it digitally. But it is Lost Girls by Bat for Lashes. This album I listened to on repeat a lot this year. And somehow, even though it came out in 2019 and I knew about Bat for Lashes, I somehow missed this whenever it came out. But it's so beautiful, and my very favorite song of the year is Vampires from this album as well. It's just so good. I wish I could play it for you. It's like instrumental, and it's like kind of nostalgic. Like, people that like Lost Boys say that this album reminds them of Lost Boys. Like, I saw it once as a kid and I didn't like it. And obviously it's named Lost Girls, but I just like it as an album. It's just so good. I've listened to it so much, and like as an adult who's now almost 40, I don't listen to music as obsessively as I used to when I was a kid, you know? So it's interesting that like I really did become obsessed with this album this year. Okay, hold please while I look up my next thing to give you a visual aid of that. My favorite comedy album of the year is Inside by Bo Burnham. I know like a lot of people were really into this year, but it just really, really resonated with me a lot. And I really love this album. Particularly like Welcome to the Internet. Like if I were to pick one song from the album to listen to on repeat, that would be it. Because I've just, you know, I'm always having struggles with like how much I want to be involved in like digital life and social media and like screen time and what am I paying attention to, and like this is all stuff that I think about a lot. So that particular song just really speaks to that for me. So that's my best comedy album of the year. So that one actually did come out this year. My favorite movie of the year. Actually do still buy DVDs, guys. Promising Young Woman. This one is, if you haven't seen it, it can be pretty triggering. But it's important. It's the first movie since I was, like, I really get obsessed with movies, and I always have. But it's the first movie in a long time that I've become so obsessed with it that I just watched it over and over, and I immediately bought it, and I wanted to show it to, like, all my friends and family, so I watched it. Like, I immediately watched it, like, 3 times, because I watched it once, I think by myself. Did I watch it by myself the first time? I don't know. I watched it once with my Michael, once with my mom. I brought it over to a friend's house and made them watch it, you know. I just watched it so many times because it just, you know, there was a certain type of catharsis that I got from watching this movie that I needed. And I think it came out last year, but I'm pretty sure I didn't see it until this year. No, it does say 2021 on the back. Okay, so it is from this year. So I actually have a couple of things that came out this year. Just want you to actually be able to see the titles of everything. Aesthetics, guys. Aesthetics. Okay. Now we're up to my favorite TV show of the year. Honestly, it's this. What is like the image that's on this paperback. I didn't see the Haunting of Hill House TV show until this year. I started reading the book, decided to try the TV show, and who is the creator of it? Mike something, doesn't say on here. Mike something, I don't know. I have now watched all 3 of his Netflix series. There's Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, and Midnight Mass. All in 2021. I watched all 3 of his Netflix TV series. They are so fucking good. It's horror, but it's horror with heart. And like, he does a really great job at really painting characters that are well-rounded. He has a lot of scenes where like people are just telling each other really long stories. There's a lot of long shots. There's a lot of like, you notice how like as digital photography filming has evolved, like everything's like focus, like there'll be like one thing in focus and everything in the background is blurry. Like with older film styles, the whole shot would be in focus. And I don't know like the right technical terms for this, but the guy that does Haunting of Hill House, all those Netflix series, Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, sorry, I don't have his name right in front of me. It's just incredible. Like he does the whole shot is in focus. And like the shots are longer too, takes are longer, so you really have time to settle into the moment. It's not as fast paced as most things are now, so it's just really refreshing. And like I've just enjoyed every single one of his TV series, and like now I need to like find out what his fucking name is so I can see if he has any movies or anything else like that. It's just, and also now that I've read Haunting of Hill House and seen the TV show, they don't spoil each other. Like I was reading Haunting of Hill House as I was going through the TV series, and some of the character names are similar, but other than that, it's a completely different story in the TV show. But he still somehow retained the essence, the vibe of the book. So it was like, even though it was completely different, it didn't seem like it wasn't a telling of that story, I don't know, it was just really interesting. Yeah, I'm super into his work. I should know his name, but I don't. Okay. One more thing I have to look up on my iPad to show you a visual image of. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. My iPad is, Michael just gave it to me. It's his old iPad, and it's super fucking slow, so it takes me forever to find something. I'm doing it. Okay, so my last one is I decided to, I need to have like a witchy book, or like tarot/witchy, whatever. So my favorite witchy book of the year is Rebel Witch by Kellyanne Maddox. This is one that like, since she's a fellow YouTuber, can I like zoom into it? Yeah, I can. Awesome. Cool. Okay. So we'll just put that there while I'm talking, and then this is here, and you can kind of see things, and yeah. This is not everything, of course, since I've had to pull up several visual images on my iPad, but anyway, so I bought Rebel Witch on my Kindle, not pictured, and just because I was like, what, whenever I was first learning tarot back in 2019, I watched her whole like Tarot 101 video series on YouTube, and it was super helpful to me, and I wanted to give back. Whenever she, put out her book, I just wanted to support it. I wasn't, sure if I cared about the content or not, but of course I tried reading it, And I was just blown away by it because it's very much a book about creating your own witchy practice and how you're not doing it wrong. It's very much the anti-gatekeeper witch, intro to witchiness book. And it's very thorough. It's very conversational, just like she is. It's very accessible. It's wonderful. And I was just blown away by like, and I kept thinking, it's very much like the book that I wish that I had as a teenager. Because as a teenager, I was super into witchy things. And I was always, reading all the witchy books that were in my local library and blah, blah, blah. But I never really found the one that spoke to me. All the books that I was reading back then, back in the 90s, was like Buckland's Book of Witchcraft and like, some Scott Cunningham books like Solitary Witch and things like that, which, those are good books, which are good books, but, they didn't really speak to me personally, and Rebel Witch does. So it's a lot of stuff that I didn't really need a refresher on because, I've been a witch, quote unquote, forever, but it was just so refreshing to see someone not being a gatekeeper writing sort of an intro to witchiness book, and someone telling you, giving you permission to witch however you want to witch. And I just really, really loved that. And I actually wrote a review on Goodreads. Do you wanna hear it? I'll read it to you. It's kind of short. It's like only a paragraph. I've written a review on Goodreads like one other time ever. Like normally I just mark whenever I've read something and that's it. And sometimes I'll give it a star rating. But okay, so here's what I wrote, because I just wanted there to be a review because there wasn't that many at the time that I wrote this. I have never really crafted my craft. And I didn't realize until reading this book that the reason for my witchy meanderings is that I didn't feel like I was witching right. This book gave me permission to witch as I want to witch. This book asked me how I wanted to do things. This book invited me to find my own path. I don't usually like books on witchcraft. I bought Rebel Witch to give a little money to the woman that helped me learn tarot with her YouTube video series years ago, thinking I'd give it a few pages. I was so surprised that this is the book on witchcraft I've needed since 1998 when I started my witchy walk. Thanks, Kelly Ann. And it's true, yeah, anyway. This was definitely a favorite this year because it's one that, I don't know if I'll necessarily ever need to reread, but, just because, the general sentiment of just having permission to create my own craft, that's what that book left me with. It left me with that. It left me with a more clear-cut idea on how to craft my own rituals, because I just never read a book that wasn't I don't like spell books and stuff like that, stuff that's specific instructions on how to do a thing. I have to create that shit myself. And this book gives you the opportunity to ask yourself. There's a lot of journaling prompts and questions to ask yourself in that book about how you want to do things. It's all about turning it back on yourself and asking yourself, what do you want to do? How do you want to do this? And I just found that so valuable. So that's it. My favorite things of 2021. Quick recap. Best book of the year, Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Best nonfiction book, Rebel Witch by Kellyanne Maddox. Best tarot deck, Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. Best album, Lost Girls by Bat for Lashes. Best comedy album, Inside by Bo Burnham. Which, side note, I didn't even know who Bo Burnham was until I saw him in this movie. And that's why I watched his comedy special, because I was like, okay, sure, I want to see what his comedy's about. I maybe never would have watched Inside. Best movie of the year, Promising Young Woman. Best TV show of the year, Haunting of Hill House. Best oh yeah, I already did that. Best Oracle deck of the year, Morgan's Tarot. What are your favorite things from the year? Like, I'm sure people are doing this already, so I will probably get to see it as you guys start putting them out there. Thanks for watching.